Hello friends, and welcome back to our channel. On today's video we're going to do a quick review on this mission fig tree. This is a mission fig tree and it makes figs that have a purple look to them with a red interior. It's a sweet tasting fig, and I'm going to give you a little bit of my techniques on growing this fig. I've gotten this fig about 7 years ago, and it was about the size of this twig right here when I started it. It started out from a twig that was rooted, and now what you're seeing is a complete fig tree. I like to keep my figs small. If you live in a cold atmosphere or colder weather like I do, and you have to take your fig inside, you might want to keep that in mind. You want to figure out the location you want to store it in and the amount of space you have, so you can keep your size to that amount. So one of the main things about these mission figs is that they are pretty healthy and easy to care for. You have to feed them, and I like to feed my fig with 12 12 12, and it seems to do well. If you can't tell, I have a good amount of figs. Almost every branch is producing 2, 1 or 3 figs on them all across the plant. And you can see it even here. Every single branch has given me figs. There's about, I would say, a little over 100 figs on here, considering the size of my fig. Here's ones that are starting to turn purple and swell up. They will get a little bit bigger once they're ripened and whatnot. Another thing that I like to feed my fig is any rice water or beans, any vegetable water, anything that you have to use inside and you soak in nutrient dense grain or vegetables like potatoes. All that sugar and starch that comes off of your vegetables is nutritious. It's not just plain water. It has a lot of nutrients and minerals. That is great way to organically feed your fig. Another thing that you want to think about is the size of the pot that you want to put your fig in. For mine, this is a perfect size. It's a medium size. I can't remember the size of gallons, but it's something that I can work with. I can lift it. It's not gonna hurt my back. And for the size of the fig plant that I want, seems to be perfect for me. So keep that in mind for yours. You can always choose the size. You don't really need a lot of soil or for the roots. So figs, they will do fine in a smaller containers. You can just do smaller containers and they will be fine. And one thing that I have learned the hard way myself is that figs like to be root bound. If you want your fig to produce more fruits, you need to not keep moving it into a bigger and bigger container. So I have stopped at this one, and now my fig is providing me with a lot of delicious fruits. Another thing that you have to keep in mind, especially if you live in a cold weather like myself, is that we have a shorter summer. I'm here in North America, in Michigan, and our summer starts about mid-May to, right now we're in end of August, till about mid-September. So for a common fig, this is not enough time to go through its life cycle, and you have to help it. So when the spring comes and you take it out and it starts to bud, it starts to want to make buds so that it can grow like there. That's when you feed it. You give it a good amount of feed. That's when I fertilize feed it, the 12 12 12 throughout the year. I water it with the vegetable or the grain water, as I mentioned earlier. And then when it starts to grow, you want to put it facing a southern exposure so it can get the most amount of daylight you could possibly give it. Uh, and then in about June time frame, end of June or mid June, what you want to do is you want to limit the growth, because the fig thinks it still has plenty of summer to go and it still has time to make more growth. You don't want it to grow more, so your job is to nick the tips off. Now I've already nicked mine back in June, and that helps it to now redirect itself into creating the fruits. So the fruits will start to grow. It'll start making fruits instead of making more leaves and more growth. And now you go through July and August, so to say, and now the fruits are small. They're still small, smaller than what you're seeing here. Usually they are. And what you want to do about last week of August or so, you start want to remove leaves off of it. Now I already done that on mine. I've removed tons of leaves, and I did it gradually. So every day I would remove about 5 to 10 leaves, especially the ones that are looking older or starting to age, and most importantly, the ones that are not pointing toward the sun. So they're not doing what they're meant to do, which capture that sunlight and convert it into the sugars that the plant needs to feed off of in order to generate the fruits that you can enjoy. By doing these two things, first nicking the tips in mid-June, is you're telling the plant to start making fruits. You're stopping its growth period, and you're stimulating the plant to create fruits, and mimicking the time in the year when the plant thinks that, okay, so this is enough growth, now I need to produce fruit. But then later on in the summer, if you have a short summer like I do, you need to tell the plant, oh, fall is here, the weather is starting to get cold, and it does start to get colder at night after about mid-August here in Michigan. So we hit like 64 or high 50s on some nights. And when you combine that with removing the leaves that are not pointing toward the sun and the leaves that are showing age, so tomorrow I will take this one out and this one out, and this way the fig says, oh, the summer is wrapping up, I better complete the growth and the maturity of my fruits. And you're also directing more of that energy and the water toward the fruits instead of toward the leaves and so on. So then your figs start to swell up, they change color, and when the second part of the summer, as they say, the Indian summer, which is like end of September, you will start getting a lot of the fruits to ripen and mature. So once I'm ready to start enjoying the figs off of my fig tree, I'll start looking for the branches that the figs are starting to turn color and ripen, and I'll completely remove the leaves. So then these ones will swell up. So if I want, I can remove these 2 leaves and then these 3 leaves, and then in a couple of days those 4 figs will completely ripen, and it'll be soft and droopy a little bit. They'll swell up, they'll get bigger and ready for me to harvest and enjoy. So based on how many I want in the next couple of days, I'll have to do that to each branch. And this way you're enjoying your figs fresh. You don't have to harvest all of them, and you don't need to refrigerate. You get them in the morning right off the plant. You enjoy them for a breakfast or with some cheese, depending on how you like to enjoy your figs. And After that, it's up to you. When it's finished, I leave it outside as much as I can until the temperatures are about in the mid 30s at night before I move it into the garage. Now, it's important to let your figs sleep. They need to go through their hibernation phase. For us here, a corner in the garage is perfect. You don't want to put them inside the house where it's warm and they think like, oh, it's time to grow again. That will put too much stress on the plant and eventually kill it. So you want to store them in the garage in a darker corner, and you want to elevate them. You don't want to put them directly on the ground. If your plant has if your container has a bucket that collects the excess water, that's helpful. Or you can just put it on some 2x4 pieces of wood. That will keep it isolated from the ground so that the cold, the freezing cold, does not migrate and cause the soil and the roots to freeze. Now, also, if you want to trim your fig, you can do that at the end of the season. So I might be removing this branch. You can reshape it. This branch here can go out, you know, keep the rest, and so on. The branches that you don't want, this one might go. So there's more. You want to keep your fig. You can shape it. You can keep it in the way that you want it so it can fit in the area that you have designated for it. Or you can wait till the spring. In the spring, as soon as those branches that you planned on pruning starts to bud and want to make leaves, you can prune them, and maybe you can create more figs, fig trees, that is. So if I want another plant, I can trim this guy here, let this guy generate more smaller branches to make more figs, and I don't need this whole growth. Then this guy can go in a potting soil. If you want to use some rooting hormone, you can, to enhance your chances, or you can just, depending on your expertise, put it in the right rooting environments and it should do its thing. So that's, I think, most of the things that you need to pay attention to. I feed it about a couple times in the whole summer, and I don't feed it fertilizer once it has fruits. Only the organic feed from Starchy Waters and so on. And as you can see, this fig looks happy and healthy. It provides a great view in this corner, beautifies my backyard, and it provides me with delicious, nutritious fruits for me to enjoy. So let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. If anything that I missed, I can help answer it for you. But we are extremely excited and happy to have this as part of our family, and we care for it, and it gives us amazing fruits to enjoy. As you can see, I've got fruits on every branch. Every branch has got me 1 to 3 figs on it. Here's 3 figs, so that's amazing. Now, if your fig does not produce that heavy, that's okay. You know, sometimes the plant or the tree cycles. It'll have a heavy giving year and a slower giving year. Last year I didn't have nearly half of this amount of figs, and that is okay. But if your fig is not giving you at all any fruits, then maybe it's time to check the soil. Maybe it's time to repot it, you know, and you want to take it out of the pot early in the spring, and you want to clean it out of all the dirt, trim any root rot, and give it a nice bag of soil that is nutritious and organic and can last. Don't buy the cheap soil. It does not last. It doesn't have enough organic material. Oh, and I just remembered, one important thing that I like to do is to give it the banana peel. I save my banana peels and I poke holes with a wide stick so that I can shove the banana peels in there without having to repot it. Or when the dirt dries and you can lift the whole thing out of the pot, you can layer the bottom with the banana peel. Banana peel is very nutritious. It's an excellent fertilizer when it decomposes. It provides a lot of potassium and other minerals that your plant thrives on. So thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it answered a lot of your questions, and I hope you enjoyed watching this beautiful fig, and the amount of figs on it is just impressive. Have a good rest of your day.